Hello, good morning. Happy Wednesday. It is a wonderful, beautiful day. I am Zena Krogadal, your American Dream Makers host. And today I have an exciting guest. All of my guests are exciting because they're all American Dream Makers, and I get so excited to introduce them. And Nancy Bewley has been in the Prescott area for quite some time now. I cannot wait to bring her on. But first, let me play my intro video. Here we go. Hello. I am back. Good morning, everybody. If you are on here, please let us know. We'd love to hear from you. If you have any questions for Nancy, absolutely put it in the chat. And Nancy is just amazing. Her and her husband have been able to be such a big part of the Prescott community. And I don't want to give away all of her story, so I'm just going to bring her on without further ado. Here we go. Hi, Nancy. How are you?
Good morning. I'm great. Thank you. Thanks for having me, Zena.
Oh, you are so welcome. I'm so blessed to have you here. And I know you and I actually go way back.
We do.
Back in our younger years, right?
94, 95, something like that.
Yep, exactly. So,
NAU, go Jacks.
That's right. Go Lumberjacks for sure. So, Nancy, really, let's start from the beginning. How did you end up getting to Prescott, and what have you done along the way before you ended up with the Willow Creek Inn?
Right. Well, it is a story of evolution, I guess you might say. My high school boyfriend and I dated, and when we got married in 1981, he wanted to move out of the LA area. He had gone to the University of Oregon and wanted to get back to the country and a slower life and a more pure life. And so we vacationed and honeymooned up in Oregon. And I was kind of a wimp, and it was too far to move away from family. And he and I weren't a family yet. And so we persevered and worked the LA thing and had our dental careers. And then when we had children in 85 and 88, then it was kind of like, oh, right, now we have to make decisions of where they're going to go to school and where they'll be raised. And so we started looking in the area again, and back up in Oregon. And we came to Prescott. Eric's parents lived here for a while. So we came and we thought, well, it's got pretty much everything we want. It's not as majestic or grandeur as the Pacific Northwest, but it certainly has four seasons and all of that. So we proceeded to make the approach to move here. Our 6-year-old son at the time was riding his bike in our old neighborhood in Whittier and had an extreme bicycle accident that left him in a body cast for 6 months and a little broken leg, and it was horrendous. And all of our things are already here in storage up Willow Creek Road, and escrow fell through and all of that. And we came for Christmas, and we literally met Santa up at the storage unit and got all of the things that Santa had brought, and we took them to Grandma and Grandpa's house, and we had Christmas. And someone called and said they were looking, wanted to tour our house. So long story, we got our house sold by March, April the next year, and we moved here. And my husband started his dental laboratory, Ponderosa Dental Lab, out White Spar. And I started a little dental assisting substitute business. I would fill in where offices needed help. And it wasn't long before people said, you need to go back to school. We need hygienists. We don't have enough hygienists here. So I looked into that, and there was only NAU, Pima Institute in Tucson, and Phoenix College down in the Valley. So there were only 3 places to pick. So I got accepted at NAU. That's where you and I met in 1995. And Zena was a great mentor. She, as you can see with what she does now, she was a wonderful mentor back then. So went to hygiene school and graduated in 1998. The boys were a little older. I commuted back up to Flagstaff, back and forth. We had nannies living with us, and it was a huge ordeal. That's kind of where the boulders started that you know use to push through your life. But so I had a wonderful dental career, met a lot of great patients that became friends, had a lot of different experiences and great mentors of bosses and not so great bosses, but overall I had a wonderful career. And so as I had always been kind of working in the interiors of mouths, helping people with their outward appearance and their inward confidence, I kind of took that design idea. I always loved interior design. I was always doing something with my dad. Wanted to be an interior designer, fashion designer out of high school. Went the dental route, but just started, looking at other things to do because I knew my hands and my back would not be able to do dental hygiene for forever. I did enter in a little later in life, and so I just expanded my desire for design, and that took me to a couple of fix and flips and a big project up on Luella Lane, which is just right above the inn up the road. I can see the window, the eaves, and kind of started a little real estate entrepreneurship. Didn't completely finish that direction. I got caught up with the fix and flip, and instead of flipping, I held. And that's a whole other story of holding on to your properties and trying to build your, so yeah, that's part of it. That was a little long-winded, but
No, and that's great to know because you're a woman who has been able to basically just keep going and expanding, learning. Like you are not like the typical hygienist in that you stay stuck in a rut because you know what I'm talking about when
yes.
in that profession of being a dental hygienist,
Uh-huh.
it tends to attract people who are very much OCD, very stuck in their ways, and we do the same thing day in and day out, and get very comfortable.
Yeah, and you live by a schedule every hour. And I think the thing that anytime you're doing a task that has a start and a completion, you have to start at the same point in order to get to the end point. And as you and I know, you start at the upper right and go to the upper left, and then you go to the linguals and, around. It's tooth counting 101, right? But the thing that made dentistry exciting and fun is that, every hour on the hour for the most part, 8 times a day, you got to meet new friends or you got to see friends over. So I have a good friend, Terry, who hopefully she's on here listening. She said, where do you get to go every day where you see 8 different friends every day, if you're working an 8-hour day. So that has a lot of validity to it in that, even though you're doing the same thing, everything you're doing is very different because every person is different. The shape of their tooth, the shape of the mouth, their needs, their health status, and then you've got, your other coworkers that you're working with, and then their patients that are in, and it was very rewarding, and it provided an economical, an earning that was a little bit higher than your typical in town. And, as a professional, we were granted that income. So I was able to, save and put some away. And then the crash market, the stock market crash of 07, 8, 9, it's kind of like, what can I do with my money that will bring me a better return? And well, real estate is, something that will always be there, right? The ground underneath our feet. So as you've transferred and evolved in your career and grown in many capacities, that kind of afforded me a couple of different ways. I studied with a group called Fortune Builders that taught you how to acquire properties and how to do the fix and flip. And we did one that was great, and we moved on. And, so I haven't done a whole lot of projects, but the projects I did do were large projects. Maybe they were $2 big for what I should have done as a, beginning, but it's all in the past. And we've, turned some beautifully old rundown properties into some really wonderful properties. And so we were blessed to ride this wave of increased property values that then became a better return for, our purchase and our selling prices. And so, of which you had a little help with me on that. So
Yes.
thank you there.
No, it's definitely a lot of fun. Hi, this is Deborah. She's saying good morning, Deborah Wisby.
Good morning. Hey there, girl.
Thank you for being on here. And we are glad that you are tuning in because Nancy is an amazing woman. As you can hear, she's just got she's got a lot of experience and just a go-getter. So yes, so you became a real estate investor, and so that kind of opened up the door to this next adventure that you had. So you had the Luella house, which was a wedding.
Right. So it was in the industry, in the investing world, we call it a short-term rental. Nowadays, everybody calls it an Airbnb and VRBO. So it was a short-term rental. Became, we intended to flip it. And in 2017, it didn't fly off the market like we thought, for quite a bit less than what we ended up doing. So my husband said, "Oh my gosh, what are you going to do? Your notes are due. I think you should turn it into a vacation rental." So we looked into that, and it had a little apartment on the side, and then the big 4-bedroom, 4-bath house, main on 4 acres, beautiful property. And we touched every square inch of that place, from the 4 acres surrounding to everything inside. I had some great builders who we had a beautiful, beautiful property. And so I put in a full-time tenant. The little apartment didn't fly off the, Airbnb thing fast, but the other one really did. Well, it was also expensive money, and starting off with a new LLC and a new business, banks want you to be very seasoned. And it took a long time before I could refinance that property into a long, amortized conventional loan. And so I kind of kept thinking, what can I do to help offset this, $5,000 mortgage or more? And so we started with the people that came to us wanted to know if they could have a wedding there, or if they could have a rehearsal dinner party. Or so, we upcharged some of that. And I think we had 20 events over 6 years. Not a whole lot when you divide that out, and how many weekends, 20 weekends divided. So anyways, long story short, a few neighbors didn't care for the noise that would go on. So that kind of got into a push and shove with the city. At that point, it was a reality that I could do this wedding business. I could do this hosting. And I knew I was outgrowing that facility and I couldn't do big weddings. So I still loved my neighbors up there. I never lived there, never spent one night in this property. And, but I couldn't have the traipsing around, and I knew that. So I started looking, but push came to shove. excuse me, the city shoved me faster than I wanted to. But, so the Willow Creek Inn was the restaurant for 24 years, the Willow Creek restaurant. It was up for sale again. So I started peeking in the windows and thinking, I could do this. And, the price was pretty fair for what real estate was doing. And so within a couple of days, I was under contract, and 6 weeks later, we had some private investors come in and join us, and grateful for them. And so then we just started the beautification, restoration, and not so much a remodel. We only took down 2 little walls to make a larger bathroom. So we have a beautiful property, and we're grateful to have the acceptance into the community. There were a few other people that wanted to tear this building down and put a bunch of apartments, a couple of escrows that had fallen out because as they found out, the city wouldn't let them do some of the projects they wanted to do. And rightfully so. We wanted to keep this property and this building, this 1877 building, what it is. And so we feel like the walls of this, the interior soul of this property is very happy that we have come along and saved her. And we refer to her as a she. We think there's a little spirit that resides here. Her name is Gertrude, and we call her Gertrude. And we think she's very happy with everything that goes on here, the celebrations, the love, and on our marquee on the side of the building. And it used to say Prescott is spoken here, but we changed it and it says love is spoken here. So we feel that it is very much a lovely place.
That's very sweet. And so you had a lot of challenges, even being able to get it up and running.
Yes.
It took you how many months before you were able to
over 9.
9 months.
Yeah.
So in that 9 months, I know you had so many hair pulling times. What kept you going and not giving up? What
really? Yeah. Well, I mean, from the beginning, I could have closed that wedding and sold that property, closed that wedding business and sold that property. I didn't have to go and purchase this property. I had contracts. Yes, I probably would have canceled them, and they would have been brides that would have been very upset, and they would have gotten over it and, moved on. But I just felt like I needed to push through, that I had these contracts, that I had to find a place to do these events. And then along with the process of, permit, planning and zoning and all of that, I felt I was too far into it. I couldn't resell it. I was too far into it. I thought I had to keep on going. And so, we pushed through that today. You wake up this morning and there's different stuff on your email to deal with. And it's like, oh, okay, well, we'll just push on through that. And, so I'm a Gemini. I don't deal too much with horoscopes, but I've always kind of read my horoscope just to see if it applies. But as a Gemini, the twin, you can handle a lot of things. I don't think I'm a two-faced, backstabbing twin as is portrayed sometimes, but I can handle a lot of things. I can juggle a lot of things. And that's just kind of what I've done. I've just persevered on. I have to say my biggest, most, my best fan is my husband. If it wasn't for Eric in endorsing me and helping me financially, emotionally, spiritually, physically, he's been right here by my side. It's like, yeah, I think we should do this. I think you have a great idea. And he didn't want to sell the Luella house. That one probably hurt him a little bit deeper than it did me. Every time I turned north on Willow Creek for 25 years, I never saw that house up there until we bought it, painted it blue. And then it's like, how can you miss it? So he poured his heart and soul into it a little bit more. I think I was a little bit more pragmatic and logical as far as an investor. You're not supposed to get attached to your properties, and yes, while I loved it, like I said, we never spent the night there. Our kids had, friends, but we never even, so I loved it. I still love it, but it's not a gut wrenching thing. When I sold it at the top of the market, that kind of helped, soften the blow of things. And so, you just kind of go on and persevere, and that you either have to believe in yourself to be successful, or, if you don't, then, yes, there's been times when I've doubted, but I've believed in what I have and my product and what I can bring to the community. So.
And I hope that you are, I guess, that you see that having, I guess, such a wonderful supporter, such as your husband,
Mm-hmm.
Made such a huge difference. I mean, I shouldn't say I hope, because you did express that. I hope others see
Mm-hmm.
that.
Yeah.
That is huge, right? To have a partner when you're feeling down and you don't see the sun shining.
I've taken us down some roads that, some couples might not make it through, both financially and, just the stress of things. And, sometimes you ask, is it worth it? Has it been worth it? And I still believe it will be worth it, not just financially, but, we'll get through these things. And obviously we solved all our hardships with the city, and we got our certificate of occupancy, and we went on our merry way and do our things. And, you know, those were lessons learned. And yes, I probably didn't follow the rules exactly the way they wanted me to, but there were a lot of hardships that were bent that were not, conducive to how long it took. And so I'll leave it there. But that one probably still stings a little bit. But if you hold on to that too long, then it makes you negative, and it makes you angry, and it makes you not that happy little person that you are meant to be. So
Sure, sure. And I'm glad that you were very honest in stating that, because it's sometimes when you are going through hardships like that, and sometimes when the other side isn't quite seeing things the way you do, and it can be very hurtful. And yes, you
you
can
can't
build up.
have things like that consume you. And that's where faith-based life is important, and forgiveness. And obviously you're not going to forget, it's still a little too raw, but you've got to move on. And there's too many other really great things about what we're doing to let that you know
Yeah.
you know
Yeah, and again, yeah, I'm really glad you're sharing that, because that is truly the American dream maker's spirit.
Mhm.
In order to achieve that American dream, you have that resiliency, and you and Eric have definitely demonstrated that.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit more about how, I guess, the wedding industry. I mean, you came upon it, with the Luella House,
Uh-huh.
and then you established the Willow Creek Inn as doing mainly not just weddings. I know you
No,
do
not
other
at
things as
all.
well. It's
Yeah.
an event center,
Yeah.
but you do have a passion for the wedding part. And so I believe you had said that it comes back to your grandmother. She was
Oh,
a wedding
yes. Uh-huh.
coordinator.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. So my dad grew up in Beverly Hills before it was 90210. It was just a little bedroom community. My grandparents moved from Chicago back in the day. And so actually in the 40s, during 40s to 50s, I guess, I don't know. Um my d- my dad wasn't really an adult at that point, but my parents were very active in the Presbyterian Church in Beverly Vista Presbyterian Church in Beverly Hills. And during World War II, prices were what they were. Veteran or servicemen would come home on leave, they would get married, and off they would go. And so my grandmother and grandfather would host these, were the wedding planners at the church. And they had a little budget, and they bought the silver candelabras and the tea set, and things were very modest and very different than what people do for weddings now. But they might have 4 weddings a day on a Saturday or Sunday, and these brides would all go in, 1/4 on the flowers, 1/4 on the candles, and they just relight the candles each time. And so it deferred a lot of expense for them. And so all my aunts and uncles got married there, and unfortunately the church was torn down, much like this story was trying to, for growth. And the property was worth so much more than what was the revenues of a church. But so when we were kids, we would play in the halls, and they had a wedding room that had mirrors all around, probably like what you would do at a bridal store if you're going to try on, and a little pedestal. And me and my cousins and my sister, we would get up there and play, and we would pretend we would be brides and a groom. And we knew every front and back little bit of that property. And so it was quite a deal when it closed down. But a lot of us got some memorabilia, the big ornate, I guess you'd call it macrame purple Bible bookmark that was there. And so we all grew up going to church on Sundays, driving to Beverly Hills, in the old LA freeway system. And we'd have family gatherings and lots of things there. And so here at the Willow Creek Inn, we do weddings. We but our hashtag on the sign that says Willow Creek Inn, it now says weddings, gatherings, and events. So yes, weddings are our big point, and we have quite a few of them. We've already done 9 so far this year, which is like wonderful. We're grateful to have that business. But we do celebrations of life, funeral, memorial, wake. We do birthday parties, anniversary parties, little kid birthday parties, rehearsal dinners, baby showers, bridal showers, whatever. We've got the Hot Shot Memorial. It's going to be 10 years since the Hot Shots were involved in their tragic fire. And so Andrew Ashcraft's family is renting on July 1st, and they're going to have a big reunion, and his children and his wife will be here. And so we're happy for that. We've had 2 high school reunions. PHS class of 1983, I believe, is on for the summer. We have a vow renewal in September. We have 6 weddings booked in October. We have some into next year. One thing that we do very well is kind of last minute little things. We have, peak seasons of when weddings happen, but we can take a last minute, a celebration of life. Those are life events that you don't plan for. You don't know when that date's going to be. And so we've had people just walk in and look around and like, this is where she would want to be celebrated. And we've had some very quaint small things, and so we can take like last minute little parties and events and fill them in between. And we've got weekdays, and so we are happy to keep pushing forward in that regard. We have just a beautiful spot that you can have just about whatever celebration is on your mind.
So tell us, so you had talked about that there's a spirit that you feel a presence there called
Yes.
Gertrude.
We call her Gertrude, yes.
Now, tell us, I guess maybe bring us back to the history of the Willow Creek Inn.
Okay,
Maybe that
sure.
might help us cue into who this Gertrude is.
Absolutely. So the building was built in 1877, a much smaller print of what is now, but the main building was up on Summit Street, just above. It was part of the Presbyterian Church up there, and maybe the Methodist Church. Anyways, it was on Summit Street, just above Charlotte Hall, and there were 2 houses that were almost identical, just a little different porch line and whatnot. And 2 brothers had built them, and they were there part of the ministry of the church. And one was taken down, and in 1962. Well, before 1962, the building was the parish home, Sunday school, a laying in hospital, and I can describe what that all is. But it was very, very, very many different purposes on the church property. In 1962, Mrs. Ewan, Ewin, there's a street just to the west here called Ewan. And so they bought it and moved it to the current location here on Willow Creek Road. And it was a restaurant for the ranch hands that were all to the north of town, that it would take them forever to get into town to have a bite to eat, or to, it was a bed and breakfast, and it was an inn and with actual lodging. And probably within a couple of years, a British couple bought it, and it was called the Willow Creek Inn Bed and Breakfast. And then it became the Green Frog Inn. In the late 60s, early 70s, there was the Green Frog Cafe on Cortez. And so those owners expanded it. We had lots of green paint that was here underneath other layers of paint. And that's the business that a lot of people, old Prescottonians, really know. I knew it when it was the Green Frog Inn, or my folks used to bring me when it was the Green Frog Inn. And, I remember when it was the Green Frog Inn, and we'd play here. And, the road was totally different elevation. The bridge was, it was a wooden bridge across the Willow Creek that runs in the front. In the 80s, late 80s, it became the Carriage House Inn, and a bunch of Embry-Riddle students took it over. And there's a little bit of drug entertainment that was going on, and that got pretty squashed pretty quick. There's still a glass etching that says the Carriage House Inn and on the front door. So we've left it. And then in the early 90s, Pat and Terry Moore purchased it and reclaimed it as the Willow Creek Restaurant. And they very proudly, through, the history of Prescott, ran the Willow Creek Restaurant for about 24 years, up until about 2016, 17. Terry's health was not going well, and they just needed to sell. And so another gentleman investor just, bought it from them. And at that point, we had been building the Luella house, and we would come down here for dinner or lunch all the time. And they had karaoke, and you could sing. And Pat said, "You should buy this place for me," because we talked about them catering and me using the parking lot for expanding. And I should have bought it then because it was a lot less expensive. But anyways, so Mr. Moody bought the property for a year or so, held on to it, did very minimal restorations. And then two physicians in town bought it, and they had a plan of a theater or their offices or an event center. And then COVID hit, and their practices kind of went ways. And so they were selling their assets. And that's when summer of 2021, it came on the market again, and, then brings it up to date. But it sat empty for about 3 years. 18, 19, 20, 21, something like that. And so there was a lot of deferred maintenance that we had to correct, and, rightfully so, to bring it back. So Patricia Moore tells us that there were spirits here, and she would know that a door opened or something moved or something fell over. I have never quite experienced that. I just feel a vibe. Now, my assistant, Nichelle, she feels like she saw a candle go out or something moved, or but so yeah, we think Gertrude is here, but we think she's very happy. And my husband has a friend from a dental office who is a medium or something, and she has some equipment that she wants to come and spend the night and see if she can register some activity. And sometimes people connotate that in a negative way, but we just think it's a great thing that she's here, and she's I don't think you'll see a silhouette in the window, but I think she loves it when it's all lit for Christmas and the ceremonies that go on. And so I'm sure there's been some spirits that have ascended. I'm sure people have been born and died here. I mean, let's face it, it was a hospital. It was a birthing hospital. It was a place. How could people not have been born here? So, but people used to, come back to their homes to, finish their lives. And then, but,
and that's part of a lot of the Prescott historical buildings too. I mean, there's, downtown Prescott, the Palace, they talk about spirits still being there. And then of course
if the walls could talk.
If the walls could talk. Yeah. So I think that's probably just part of the history of Prescott as well. And I noticed you tend to like and are drawn to historical buildings, correct?
Yes. Yeah. I was actually raised most of the time in my youth in Whittier. Our family home was a 1905, big old house, and my dad would fix it up, and he'd teach me how to hang wallpaper. And I remember him taking hammers and chains and nails, and we antiqued the old wood paneling and things that were in there. And I was just right in there. I would rather be with him learning how to do that than having to learn how to clean the refrigerator or clean a bathroom or something like that. So I just wanted to be with my dad. And so he taught me a lot. And then Eric and I rented a couple of houses before we ever purchased our own. And it was always like, oh, oh, I bet your dad will help me do this wallpaper. And I remember my mom saying, okay, this is the last time daddy does your wallpaper. You got to listen and watch him because he's not doing any more. Like, okay. So I think I became a pretty good wallpaper and painter and, all that kind of stuff. And now it's a little harder to, climb up and down a ladder and do all that. But yeah, we've taken on some projects that, I have my own gun, my own air gun, my nail gun. It's the only kind of gun I'll carry. But yeah, and I love color. And, right now the trends of colors are way fun. And so that's part of the old interior design flavor coming through, so.
Yeah, that's fun. That's fun for you, for sure, to be that, to have that creative side. So, as you are looking to the future, what excites you the most?
Well, what excites me the most, I mean, when the calendar fills up, but as far as the future goes, the best I can tell is this is kind of it. I won't be purchasing and renovating anything else. I'll pay my utility bills, but I'm not interested in being in business with the city anymore, if you know what I mean. But so this has got to work. I'm interested in, we always are embellishing something. Like we went and planted flowers out in the fountain out in the driveway, and we're working on building a gazebo that can be an outdoor DJ, outdoor food service, bartender, whatever. And then just planting and just, I'm just interested in seeing this property mature even further. I have an assistant that is absolutely amazing. I think she's out in the other room at the moment, but Nichelle Armenta I could not do it without her. And it'll probably make me cry if I embellish her too much, but she does an amazing job. Maybe there will be some day where we pass the torch on, and I'm going to be 64, so I'm not doing hygiene anymore, the old hands, so I may just become the marketing and the face and the event planner, the Frances Ward was my grandmother's name. I may just become the Frances Ward. I'm starting to waddle like her. So
Nichelle Armenta says she loves you, Nancy.
Who does?
Nichelle Armenta.
Oh, right back at you. So everybody always thinks it's Michelle, but she is Nashelle. N. So we're both N's. So N squared is what we are. But yeah, we've got some plans and maybe embellishing her business. Nichelle, are you there? Should we say just a little something about the product we want to bring? See if she writes something. But I don't want to blow her secrets. But
Sure.
Maybe we should talk about what we offer here at the inn, because
please do. Yeah.
Okay. So, to the best of our knowledge, the Willow Creek Inn is the only venue in town that has the inventory, the decor, the amenities that we do. There's a lot of great venues in town. I do not want to even make for one motion that we don't love our people that we're in business with. But our inventory, we have, other than tables, chairs, linens, which you often, get at a place. We have lanterns, we have candles, candlesticks, vases, indoors and outdoor things. We have our arch, we have our florals, our faux florals that we offer to you for a bride. They can come in and use any or all or none of what our decor is. We have adorable things. We put adorable things together all the time. We have, so we basically have an inclusive package that we offer, as well as our a la carte. And I don't say all inclusive because there are so many different services that a bride may want that not every bride can or wants to have at their wedding. So we don't provide a DJ or a videographer, but we can coordinate and get you a referral for one. But we, on our inclusive, we offer the officiant, obviously the venue for 6 hours, for dressing and your party for 6 hours, tables, chairs, basic linens. We have all the decor needs that you would ever want. Brides don't have to buy a bunch of other stuff that they're going to try to resell on Facebook. We have, we provide the meal. We have great caterers that we work with. We work with Debbie from Goods from the Garden, catering by Liz, Scott to Joseph of Prescott Premier Catering. We do Rosa's, Rosati's, the barbecue place, Colt Barbecue, whatever anybody wants to do. They can bring their own stuff in. We have all the chafing dishes and serving pieces. We've got chargers and plates, gold silverware, silverware, glass flutes and glasses and stemware, and beautiful serving pieces. We keep the local thrift stores hopping with. We always go and purchase, really pretty things. A lot of times we had a bridal shower this last weekend. Lovely couple, fun group, and they brought in some amazing home cooked Mexican food from Prescott Valley. And but they brought it in tins and it wasn't pretty. And I'm like, would you like to put this in something that's, prettier? Everything else is so pretty. Let's serve it pretty. So we can offer to them they can use our serving pieces and all of that. So we've got a great catering kitchen that they can use. We don't have any means to cook or prepare. We have some heat lamps, so we follow all of the guidelines that are set before us, but caterers love our kitchen. They can put their things together. They don't need a place to cook from scratch. Cakes come in and all that. And I should continue on with our amenities, but the meal, the cake, the photographer, that is huge. We work with Sarah Sessinger of Sarah Sessinger Photography for the most part, but we have other people like Paloma Cruz, who's filled in. Mama Bear Michelle Lewis is on the agenda for her packages. We have some inclusive rates that they don't have to do much. Just tell us your colors, your theme, give us your inspiration, and we will implement it for you. And so that's a huge draw for destination weddings coming in from out of town, out of state. We've had a groom from New Zealand. We've had 3 weeks ago, we had a bride and groom from Dallas Fort Worth, sight unseen, book us, and we implemented their party for 30. Lots from the valley here around town. A lot of people, that know us, and we entertained our construction worker with 110 people, and Scott to Joseph catered that, and that was wonderful. And they have a lot of our pictures up on our website or from their wedding. And so, yeah. Or if you want to do it all yourself, just rent the venue space and we'll just watch it happen. So either way.
That's great. That's great service that you're providing, and a lot of things to offer. So definitely, you got something going on. Contact Nancy Bewley. She is there to help you, and she is a wonderful resource. She truly is. She's been in the area a long time. She knows a lot of people. Great resources out there. Nancy, so before we wrap it up, what are you most grateful for?
Well, grateful for just the love of family and friends, and grateful for the opportunities. My mother died at 8 when I was 7. She was 34 years old. She had kidney cancer, but she wasn't a professional woman. She was doing exactly what she wanted, was raising a family, the 5 of us. But in that generation of our mothers that are in their 80s, my stepmom will be 90 soon. They were just on the cusp of women, either be trodden to not have a career or not go on to do things. It was unheard of to be. A woman couldn't even get a loan or buy a house or buy a car, all those stories of, I'm not a big women's liber, but I'm very grateful for having been born in the time when I can pursue the things that my heart desires to do, and grateful to have a life partner that wants to do them with me. So I guess that I think I always try to remind myself that coming from a caring, you know, purposeful approach of life. I'm grateful for my relationship with my Heavenly Father. And I think that He knows in my heart where my mind is and where my heart is. And so I think I have those blessings. So I'm grateful. I'm grateful for the adverse blessings that turn out. We have to have the good and the bad to know what the good is in life. So if that's a blundered gratefulness, I don't know what else to say other than I'm just grateful for family and friends and the life that I've had. And I love my grandkids. We have 6 grandkids, and we're just, overjoyed with our 2 daughter-in-laws, and just,
You're living the dream. You're
yeah,
living the dream.
I don't have a bucket list. I don't care to go anywhere but down to visit them. I don't desire to go to Europe or these places. And I guess if you don't have a bucket list, then you're never disappointed. So that you didn't get to get that, passbook stamped, but so just in a very meek and humble way, I'm grateful for it all, the experience of life. So
Thank you so much for sharing your heart. Really appreciate you
Thank
taking
you.
the time out. You are a very busy gal. I know you're like running around everywhere all the time. So I do
Hopefully with a smile on my face.
always with a smile on your face. I've never seen you without one. So you
Oh, well,
always,
thank you.
yeah. And again, I just admire your go-getter spirit. You are very persistent, very tenacious. You get your eye on the prize and you just go for it. And so you are a great inspiration to many people. So just keep going, Nancy. You and your husband are doing great things, really helping lots of people. So
I do have to say one last little thing if we have time.
yeah.
Sarah Allen, a fellow realtor friend colleague you may have, she is renting on July 22nd it's called Kids in Progress. So she's renting the inn from me for a vendor marketplace, and she's inviting young entrepreneurs like kids that might be crafting something or selling something or whatever they want to do. So she's having a open house marketplace where you can buy some things, and there'll be some posts on Facebook. So think about us on July 22nd, just 11 to 2, come to the inn on July 22nd, and you can find out all about it. And you can contact me if you would like to be a vendor. If we don't teach these kids how to do it, if we aren't good examples for them to maybe make their hardships a little lighter, they'll never learn, or it's such a hard process to learn on their own. So come to Kids in Progress and support Sarah Allen and her efforts and the inn. I'll give you a tour.
Yeah, that sounds great. So how do they get a hold of you, Nancy? What's the best way?
Well, if you don't know, you can drive in the parking lot. My phone number and the website are on the side of the building, lit up in the marquee. But Nancy Ward Bewley on Facebook, Willow Creek Inn on Facebook, willowcreekin.info is our Facebook, 928-710-7212 is the phone number. I'm all over. You can find me.
You're pretty easy to find.
Or they can call you and you can find me.
That's true. You can always reach out to me and I will get
networking is how the entrepreneurial evolution happens, right?
Yes. And I think it's very fun that you and I really, like I said, we had a history going back to, into our early years, and to see how we have both evolved and the paths that the journeys that we've taken. But to see you really come into your own is just exciting, Nancy. And I'm excited for
you have a tremendous story. I hope you can split screen and tell your story, because she has an amazing story that you need to bring your box of tissues about. So
thank you, Nancy. That's very kind of you. One of these days, the story is going to get out, but for the American Dream Makers show, it is about the guest. And I'm so grateful to all the American Dream Makers, because you inspire me. for
Thank
sure. So Nancy, I will not keep you any longer. I know you got to
Okay.
get back to doing the things you do to help make people smile. So
Thanks.
thank you again. We
Thanks
will.
for tuning in, everybody.
Yes, and please make sure you share this, even if you're watching it on the replay.
Okay.
Share this out. Let everybody know about what Nancy has to offer, what Willow Creek Inn is, and all of those things. What a great message today. So make sure you share it, guys. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Thank you again, you guys, for tuning in to the American Dream Makers. You guys are amazing. The American Dream is alive and well. Nancy has absolutely proven and shown that. So you guys get out there, multiply your talents, your gifts, be fruitful and multiply, and be prosperous. So have a wonderful, blessed day. Be sure to tune in tomorrow. I actually have two guests tomorrow, and they are phenomenal. So please tune in to the American Dream Makers at 10 o'clock and then also at 11:45. So I will see you later. So goodbye for now.